the end of the day, it's just what happens at the end of the night. I'm not in there to try and knock Jake out in 10 seconds or 8 rounds. I'm going to go in there and do a job. I'm going to want to hurt him. You know, I'm going to want to really hurt him in the ring. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm here to do.
There are levels to boxing, and if these small guys are able to show you things that you had no idea that you were vulnerable to in a boxing ring, what happens when someone who hits 4, 5, 6 times as hard as that does the exact same thing to you and lands it on your chin?
Anthony Joshua reacted to Jake Paul's recent training videos by saying Jake's confidence has become overconfidence. Joshua said Jake believes in himself so much that he honestly thought challenging a heavyweight champion was a good idea. To Joshua, Jake feeling ready to fight him shows how far Jake is from understanding the real level of elite boxing.
Ball of having that maybe you haven't seen in other competition you faced so far.
From a physical aspect, I couldn't even mention it at the minute. But from a mental aspect, he offered me the fight. Normally, I'm offering people fights. He's told me, come and fight. So he's...
Anthony Joshua. Claire Liu explained the difference between size and real boxing skill. He said that even if Jake Paul were bigger than Gervonta Davis, Davis would still beat him because of his skill, timing, and instincts. Joshua was not talking about an actual fight, but using the example to show that skill matters more than size when it...
Would have struggled in some aspects, but I think he would have got the victory.
I think Gervonta would have got the victory.
Yes, I do, because of his counter-punching ability. So I think he would have, like, you know how he done with Frank Martin, kept his tight guard, took some shots on the gloves, figured out his distance, and then...
Former heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz gave Jake Paul advice based on his own boxing career. Ruiz told Jake to stay calm, trust himself, and not let fear take control as the fight with Anthony Joshua gets closer. He said confidence is important when facing a dangerous heavyweight, because fear can ruin a fighter before the fight even starts. Ruiz spoke from experience, remembering when almost no one believed he could beat Joshua in 2019, yet he shocked the world. His message was not that belief alone wins fights, but that fear makes fighters fall apart. Facing someone as big and powerful as Joshua requires mental strength as well as physical training. Ruiz made it clear that bravery and focus are needed if Jake wants...
Hey, don't be scared and do what you gotta do, you know? Ask God for that victory and he will come through, and just be fearless, you know? That's what you gotta do. You gotta be fearless and give it all you got, you know?
Any secret to, like, you know, boxing a guy like
just get
Joshua?
him with the right hand. That's what Jake Paul's looking for, the right hand. And if he lands, he could do good damage. So a lot of people underestimate Jake Paul, but in reality, he's a good fighter and he's dedicated, and that's what I like about him.
You get on the phone with Jake before the fight?
I haven't, but I'm gonna hit him up. I'm gonna hit him up and try to give him some little pointers, huh?
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah,
hey,
bro.
Look, I want to see you get back in the ring too. What's
April,
the deal?
we're April. I'm starting camp already next month, and in April we're getting down, baby. It should be in Los Angeles or in Vegas.
Legendary announcer Michael Buffer said Jake and Logan Paul have brought new attention to boxing, especially from younger fans who normally would not watch the sport. He praised how they create excitement, storylines, and big audiences, which has helped boxing grow. However, Buffer warned that entertainment and real danger in the ring are very different. When the discussion turns to Jake fighting Anthony Joshua, Buffer becomes much more serious. He explained that Joshua is not just famous, but one of the hardest punchers in today's heavyweight division. Buffer said Jake must improve his defense a lot, because Joshua's power is far beyond anything Jake has faced. Fame and social media cannot protect Jake once the fight begins. Buffer's words were a clear warning that this fight carries serious risks. Jake would be moving from influencer fights to a true heavyweight threat, which could risk his career.
Well, Jake and Logan, first of all, are fantastic athletes. You know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing. He knocks people out and everything. And they both have massive fan bases. And for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have like they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight atmosphere. So it's very exciting.
These two stood face to face, and the comment section on the internet was going crazy. They were like, call the ambulance now, basically. Like Anthony Joshua looks dangerous standing next to him.
Anthony Joshua is, at this time, and has been for years, the biggest puncher in boxing. He's a devastating puncher. So I got to give Jake a lot of credit for wanting to take this fight.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people saying it's not smart. If he somehow was able to surprise the world, what does this do for his?
The word would be surprised if he shocked the world. But that's exactly why you got to give him credit. He wants to do it. He trains hard, he works hard, and he has a lot of faith in himself. So we'll see what happens.
Technically, though, what's the biggest concern for you? What's the biggest tip you can give Jake, knowing that you watched him?
Commentator Ari Spears spoke openly about how unbalanced the fight looks. He said that if Anthony Joshua somehow lost to Jake Paul, many people would believe the fight was staged because the difference between them is so large. Spears was not accusing anyone, but explaining how impossible a Joshua loss would seem to fans. In his view, Joshua's size, experience, and background make losing to Jake very unlikely. His comments showed how
Anthony Joshua loses this, the fight was fixed. Because now he's fighting a real fighter.
Right. And, unlike Gervonta, who was physically a lot smaller than him, Anthony Joshua was 245 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's taking this fight.
Well, I think he's tired of people saying he's not legitimate.
Well, I mean,
and
he's been fighting non-legitimate people.
Right. So the whole critique has been, you want to be considered legitimate? Fight somebody legitimate.
Right, because even the Gervonta fight I thought was not legitimate because the weight classes are so different.
Right.
Now, Gervonta's a beast in his weight class.
But he's,
you're fighting someone way bigger.
That'd be like me fighting Gary Coleman. You know what I mean?
Boxing analyst Joey Knight said Jake Paul's choice to fight Anthony Joshua is more about business than real competition. Knight explained that Jake knows big-name fights bring huge attention and money, no matter who wins. He said Jake understands how to use media and social platforms to make the most profit. However, Knight warned that money does not remove physical danger. Joshua's power, skill, and experience make him one of the hardest opponents Jake could face. Knight added that the danger grows if Jake underestimates what it means to fight a seasoned heavyweight. Beyond the hype and big money, Knight warned the fight could hurt Jake's career if he does not fully respect the risk.
Maybe not as much as the Anthony Joshua fight, but a lot of cash, and can still have a serious chance of going on to earn even more paydays. Whereas the damage that it could do to his body could be irreversible for that opportunity to earn money in a boxing career going forward. So is this the retirement bag? Or do you actually think you can win? Because I read a study recently, and I believe it said something along the lines of men overemphasize or overcalculate their ability to fight by about 500 times. And I'm saying Jake Paul would probably need to be 500 times better to stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. And I can't get how he doesn't already know this. Surely he has sparred with heavyweights. Surely the recent sparring that he had with the likes of Shakur Stevenson and with the likes of Ray Ford, amongst others, Badu Jack, surely that would have taught you that there are levels to boxing. And if these small guys are able to show you things that you had no idea that you were vulnerable to in a boxing ring, what happens when someone who hits 4, 5, 6 times as hard as that does the exact same thing to you and lands it on your chin? The whole reason of why I know where I am in the influencer boxing scene, in the misfit scene, is because of the level that I have sparred at. I've sparred boys that have gone on to box for world titles. I've sparred with English champions, and I've sparred with loads.
Former cruiserweight champion Johnny Nelson said he is concerned about what could happen to Jake Paul if he suffers a brutal knockout. Nelson pointed out that Jake has become a big money draw in boxing, often paying large sums to fight famous opponents. But he warned that a serious loss could damage both Jake's health and his future value. Nelson also said some people believe Jake might step away from major fights if the defeat is too severe. To him, this fight is a major turning point that could either lift Jake higher or stop his progress.
For AJ, I'm stuck in between because nobody on this green earth would actually turn down 50, 60 million to fight Jake Paul. And people that don't like this will probably watch it because they want to see Jake Paul getting knocked out. So what does it say about AJ and what does it say about Jake Paul? I think I was thinking upside down. For AJ, I thought, Mama's cashing out. He's cashing out because he's going down this mimic line. But I thought, in reality, is he? Realistically, he's thinking, you know what? This big mouth YouTuber stroke boxer has the cheek to call me out. I'd be pissed off at that, if I'm honest with you. I'd be upset if I was AJ, thinking, that's disrespect, man. You think you can deal with me? But he didn't. AJ was jovial and he commended Jake Paul's business acumen, saying, we've sat down, the deal's been done. But still, it just leaves an odd taste in your mouth. So as long as AJ gets the job done, and I mean gets the job done, shows his world-class pedigree and wipes this boy out, then everybody's happy. But how does it enhance his career? The only way it enhances his career is financially. That's it. No other way. There's no props from beating Jake Paul, apart from saying, thank God you shut him up. For Jake Paul now, I got to give this boy props because he now has our attention and the whole world is talking about Jake Paul. I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Bet Goodwin, for supporting That Boxing Show. Now, if you're interested in having a little flutter, or as I call it after my dad, Benji's Bets, Bet Goodwin's the place to be. Check out Bet Goodwin using the QR code on the screen. I'm probably all right. I'm probably 90% thinking the fight's going to happen. But I'm struggling. I'm thinking, this boy can't be so stupid. But then you hear a whisper. You hear a whisper that Jake Paul himself might be cashing out. Because the big purses that he's pulling, fighting these has-beens or ex-fighters, they're dropping slowly but surely. So maybe, just maybe, this might be his last fight. Getting in there with Anthony Joshua and getting knocked out. But there's always that conspiracy theory. Are there some contract agreements that can and cannot be done, which will never see the light of day that we don't know about? Well, if you're an ex-fighter and if you like the fight game, you'll see fake. You'll know fake when you see it. So if there's any of that fakery going on with this, pulling a shot, taking it easy, giving man a bit of a breather, especially coming from AJ.
The host of The Wade Concept Podcast analyzed the technical side of the fight and said it makes no competitive sense. He explained that Jake Paul does not yet have the skills needed to face someone like Anthony Joshua. Jake lacks elite timing, strong defense, and the ability to take heavyweight punches. Joshua, meanwhile, has fought world champions and top fighters for years. The analyst said
making Jake take this fight, and I don't think it's healthy for him at all. I think this is going to be one-way traffic. I think AJ is going to hurt him very badly. And speaking of the insanity of this thing, here is what the first line is. Jake as a plus 800. I have a feeling that's going to shift even more toward AJ at minus 1,500. Because again, how could you even see Jake winning this fight? Where is the possibility for Jake to actually get it done? I mean, look at this picture from them playing paintball a couple of years ago, I guess, or I don't know if it was paintball, but some sort of airsoft gunfighting. But look at the difference in the size. And I get it, size doesn't just win fights, but AJ doesn't just have the size. He is more experienced at the highest level. He has fought guys that are smaller than him and are more experienced and better than Jake is. Again, Alexander Usyk twice. What better experience? I know Usyk is southpaw, but what better experience to get you prepared to fight a smaller guy than to fight the best, smallest guy coming up to heavyweight in Usyk that you could find. And yes, AJ is plotty, and he's maybe a little stiff, and maybe his chin is not what it used to be, but that's still Anthony Joshua. So Nikisa Badarian did an interview with Sky Sports, Jake Paul's manager and co-founder of MVP. He had some things to say about the fight. Obviously, they're going to do a massive press tour around this thing. Let's take a look and listen at why Nikisa, maybe a hot take, says that Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is more winnable for Jake Paul than Gervonta Davis would have been.
How dangerous is this for Paul?
This is a more dangerous fight than Gervonta Tank Davis, but it's a more winnable fight than Gervonta Tank Davis. Gervonta was small, fast, super skilled.
That is a fucking hot take. I don't know if that's crazy, but it's a hot take. Let's hear his reasoning.
Gervonta was small, fast, super skilled. Joshua is big, heavy puncher, but not as evasive. So I think if Jake has the right game plan, he has a pretty good shot of winning this fight.
That's crazy. Now, first off, a winnable fight with Gervonta Davis. It was an exhibition. So, wins and losses, we weren't really going to be able to count there. But saying that it is a risky but more winnable fight, it's so hard to get on board with even the thought of Jake winning this. Like, there's only really, I think, one, maybe two avenues where Jake possibly can in some way win it. But when Nikisa says it's a more dangerous but also more winnable, the only thing my mind jumps to is Jake is going to have to stand in front of Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua commented on Francis Ngannou turning down a fight with Jake Paul, saying it may not have been a smart money decision. He explained that fighters do not often get such big offers, and turning one down could mean missing money that never comes back. Former UFC star Chael Sonnen agreed, saying Ngannou should have accepted the fight because of the payday. Their comments...
Ngannou does not take the fight against Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua takes the fight against Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua at the press conference gets asked his opinion of Francis not taking the fight against Jake Paul. And Joshua's like, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. There is no reason for him to not take this match. I cannot be and am not mad at Francis. I can't be. Like rules would preclude me from being upset with Francis. I'm not a big Francis fan. Francis fan. I'm not a Francis supporter. So I want to hurt Francis. I want to do something to hurt him. Well, his own actions took $10 million out of his bank account, of which, by the way, could use $10 million. So I can't be mad at him. If I teased him, and by God, get in there and he go, oh my gosh, I heard Chael and I heard from all the Eagles and what was I thinking? And Joshua's out and this is my chance of redemption. Hey, put me in, Jake. That would then help him. That would be positive for Francis. That would create envy as well as jealousy from outside observers like me. But I will tell you, trying to break down and understand how we got to this conclusion is mind-boggling. You ever met a writer? Your whole life, have you ever met a writer? Maybe went to college for it and they're a writer. Do you want to know the hardest thing in the world that person's going to have to do to make money?
Fight has gained attention mainly because the difference between the two fighters is so extreme. Jake Paul is younger and energetic, but those qualities cannot replace the years of skill, experience, and ring knowledge Anthony Joshua has built at the top level. This imbalance is what makes the fight shocking and controversial. Many fans are watching because the gap is so unusual, making the event dangerous for Jake and exciting.
Why the fuck would he do this? And the only rational idea I can think of for why he's taking this fight is the fact that, from what I could find, it seems he's getting paid around $92 million by Netflix for this fight. And I'm sure all of you that are watching have all had that conversation with your friends where you ask dumb shit like, how many millions to box Anthony Joshua? I mean, yeah, I'd gladly take brain damage for $92 million. I'd do it for like 20K. And I don't think Netflix are going to be happy with replacing Gervonta Davis with a Nate Diaz rematch, as much as Nate Diaz may love that.
Who do you want to fight next?
Maggots.
Who do I want to fight next? I want to beat the fuck out of Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, either one.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you may think Nate Diaz is being delusional here, but, I mean, I'd take brain damage twice in one night for that kind of money. And as crazy as it seems that Jake Paul's actually